Hey guys, welcome to Investment Secrets 101 again. I've covered this in the last episode, but today I'm going to share with you something really exciting is the strategies of investments. So in the last episode, we actually shared about the type of investors that you can be. You can either be a short-term investor, you can be a mid-term investor, or you can be a long-term investor. Now, all three of them carry different values of risk and also different values of returns, right? For example, in the short term over here, you got high risk, high returns, and they're usually in very short durations of times. And this is what we call trading that can be very visibly seen in stock markets or crypto markets or even in the forex markets, right? Now, in the second over here, midterm, you carry midterm risk, midterm returns, but the terms are relatively longer, anything from 1 year to 5 years. Now, this can be really seen in some other ways whereby you actually play the same markets, but you're getting dividends to come in the stock markets, or you can buy properties. And those are basically ones will get you gradual appreciation in a few years. And last but not least, we have the long term whereby it's a hedge. We're playing institutions over here. The easiest ones are some things like mutual funds or bonds or unit trusts or things like this where it gives you long-term security but very low returns. So now the question you're going to ask yourself is, all right, which one or how are you going to play as an investor? So today we're going to dive into the strategies. So now the question you probably want to ask yourself right now is, which investment do you want to do? Assuming you have limited savings coming in, you probably have to figure yourself right now, hey, Dato, which is the best one that you want to kind of go in, right? So my question to you is the same thing. A, would you want to kind of go into short term over here because it kind of gives you good returns coming in on a daily or monthly basis? Or if you say, hey, I'm patient, I kind of want to have a little bit more balance between safety and good returns, and I could wait. I don't want to trade every day. I don't want to be actively going in front of a computer screen every day and looking for that money. I kind of want to have that money appreciate by itself over several years. You could actually go out there and say, hey, I could go into midterm investment. Or the last but not least, you could say, hey, I just want to hedge. I just want to put this money for a legacy, something for me and my kids to put away. I want to make it for years and years to come. You could put it into some trust fund. You could go into unit trusts or mutual funds or bonds or stuff like that. Now, the big problem with any of this is the question that you probably have in your head, what if this doesn't work? Yes, it can happen in all three different asset classes. Why most people don't invest is the fact that if this happens, then you lose your savings. So why most people don't invest is because they're afraid of losing money. There is another solution to this that I always want to share with people right now, which is that, hey, what if I could show you a way where you could actually make that money in a safer way in all three of these asset classes? So I want to give you an example of what I have done to build up what I call my 3 ways to 3 million system. Is it just theory or is it possible? Can you apply it into your life? So ask me the questions along the way because this is something that I've designed and I've done it on my own, but I'm not sure if it's suitable for everybody over here. So let's just get into it right now, okay? I have decided that I kind of want to not lose my money when I go into investments. So what I've done is over here is that I kind of want to have a way using my 3 ways to 3 millions to reduce the loss of my savings because guys, most of you out there have limited savings until today. And the biggest mistake is you kind of tend to put that kind of money all into one of these investments. What I did right now is I have a way whereby I actually put it into one of these asset classes first. And one of them is called the midterm. Now, why do I pick midterm? Is because of this word called leverage. What does that mean is that I'm actually not using my money, but I'm using money from the banks or someone else's money. So I'm going to give you an example of this right now. Assuming I use this money to buy a property. Now, what I'm trying to do right now is I'm not going to focus on an asset alone. I'm going to ask you guys, do you take a bank loan? You should. So what happens is if you got an undervalued market property or the property price has actually increased, you could then refinance that asset and take extra money from the banks. I'm saying that if you could get an asset that is actually valued lower and you could get extra money from the banks, you now use a different type of money called leverage money to actually invest into something else. Now, it has to have a balance, by the way. You have to make sure that the rentals come in and you're able to pay off your bank loans. By doing this, you actually have 2 levels of protection, right? The first level over here is the fact that it is actually covered by an asset called a property, for example. And if anything happens to this money, if taken out from the banks can come after this asset. So you don't actually lose your savings. So you have 2 levels to protect that money. And number 2, you're not actually using money from your savings at this moment. You're actually using unrealized equity that you can get out from an asset class. Does that make sense? So there you go. If you understand this right now, you're now using extra money from the banks, put it into a short term, and you use that to attack that market. I'm just going to explain to you that if you know how to manage this money well enough, you could put it into short term, you could be able to generate that money coming in eventually, and you start getting good into it, you say make some daily returns or monthly returns. But if you don't want that, you could actually put that money into something long term as well. You're like, no, Dato, I don't want to go out there and take that risk. I don't want to have that heart attack. So fine, take the money from the banks and say, hey, let's go out there, buy some bonds, buy some unit trusts. Or as a matter of fact, you may want to buy a piece of land, which is also a long-term hedge. So it depends on how you want to do it, but what happens is that you start to generate money from all three different sources. The next deal is get good at it. Start to generate that money coming in. You start to get pretty good at it, and it gives you a decent 10-20% returns a year from short term. So now what do you do with the money? Now this is the next mistake. Don't put it into your pocket. What we're trying to create here is a system. You take that money from the returns over here, once it's accumulated, you put that back into midterm. Buy another property. Buy another asset, right? Put it against leverage, right? And start to use it all over again, and you create one cycle. After doing that, and maybe the property is appreciated after another 1 or 2 years, take that money and put it into long term. Now, if you do this long enough, and I'm not going to say that you're going to do this within 3 months, 6 months. So I'm not saying you're going to be rich within that kind of period of time, but I'm going to say anything from 3 years to 6 years, you would have what I call my investment ecosystem without you using your savings. This actually means that you now make your money work for you really hard in terms of all these investments rather than putting it into the banks. Just a little bit of something I want to share with you guys, my 3 ways to 3 millions. Please tag, please comment and tell me, what do you think about this system? Does it work for you guys? Comment below, ask me about this. Or if you like what I share with you guys, share it with somebody else and say, hey, there's this weird guy on the internet who's actually sharing some weird strategy. Does this work as well? And tag me along with it so that I can answer more questions with you guys. If you like this, please do like and subscribe so I can give you more crazy ideas to make your money work harder for you. Okay, till the next time round, see you guys.